into our space to conduct a really awesome webinar, in this case an in-person event, on automating your tax compliance, which I think is absolutely crucial given the upcoming changes that are happening across the UAE. So without further ado, I'll let you take it away. Welcome, Shafiq.
Thank you for the space, and we are happy to talk more about how to digitalize tax compliances and finance operations for startups, scaling organizations. So this is me. My name is Shafiq. I have been in finance last 10 years. So I started my career as an auditor, and then moved into running as a consultant for a couple of companies, and then I've been CFO for a couple of companies, tech startups, where mostly I see that scaling organizations have problems in if you don't put your finance operations or tax compliances on autopilot, then it will be very hard to scale. Look at some of the startups that have scaled massively, that have grown massively, that at some point they will have an army of accountants, and there will be a lot of issues, and they came down to zero. Right? If you speak to a lot of founders, they find this is one of the issue, and it's very important. One of the things I have realized, I was listening to a podcast from CEO of Ripple. He was telling that how he built a company to $1 billion, it came down to zero, just because he didn't have zero operational strategy from day one. So whatever you could automate, you have to put it on autopilot from day one. This is very important for scaling of the organizations. And I'm also a certified management accountant from US. So that's a bit background about me. So some of the basic sanity I just wanted to talk to the founders or anybody here who runs finance operations, just to make sure that every time you start a company, you need to have a business bank account. Very important. Don't use your personal bank accounts for running the company, because it gets very complicated at later stage to track what have you spent for the business. So day one, make sure that you have a business bank account, you have cards, you have proper technology stacks to automate, you have proper tools to run your finance function, you keep records of your invoices, you track your metrics, you measure ROI from each of your team members or ROI from the investments that you make, you review your financials regularly, and you always keep an emergency fund, like how you run your families, right? So that you will not run out of the business. You have a minimum, because always when you run a business, things can go unexpected, like COVID, for example, right? So you always need to have an emergency fund when you run a business. These are some of the basic financial sanity, and why you have to digitalize. So this is one of the case I mentioned. If you look at companies uh, across globe, or you look at take some of the examples of the companies here, which I don't want to mention, but they have an army of accountants, like 100 accountants in the company, right? And some of the delivery operations, for example, if you take, you ask the basic riders, captains who drive the car, right? They have to stand in the queue for hours to get their settlements. So it gets very complicated, right? So scaling organizations, whenever your organization scales, you don't have to have an army of team. You just need to automate everything that is possible. Right? That's how you become cost compliant, you become efficient. Right? And the second, if you look at the accuracy in reporting, so a lot of errors, even tax. I was looking at some of the statistics. Just in Middle East, in UAE, there is around 50 billion lost just in tax compliance errors and invoicing errors. So anything that happens manually can have a lot of errors, because we are humans, we can do mistakes. And manual processes always are time consuming. Imagining you are growing a company and you have accounts receivables of 1,000 companies, or you have 2,000 clients. To chase them down, it's going to be very, very hectic, right? And it's very time consuming. Cashiers, settlements, accounts receivables, payables, if you have a lot of payables, then how do you manage that? And at last, when you ask your accountant or when the founders ask the finance teams, where is the data, right? Then again, you have to run for another weeks and weeks to get the data on table, right? Any companies that runs any founders, like if you look at for a, you have to think from this perspective, like for example, a captain riding a car, right? You need to have a dashboard, see the data, right? How much, what speed is driving, what's the gas consumption, right? He needs to see a lot of data so that he can drive it better. The same way, a business owner need to have real-time data so that he can take a lot of decisions, right? You don't have to wait for accountant to give a data for after a month, right? Or months and months waiting for getting seeing what's really happening in the business. Most of the time, founders says this, right? I don't have that. I don't know what's happening in my company. I have an accountant. He just make payments. He just collect payments. But I really don't know where my business stands, what cash I have in hand, or where I'm weak, where I have to do better. This is most of the time business owners complain about it. And this is not also to do with accounting. It's basically if you use a lot of Excel sheet, pen and paper, spreadsheets, it's going to happen because you are not able to consolidate. You have to digitalize. If you digitalize, you will have a lot of real-time data that is coming in, and you could put data on table in front of business owners, so they could take a lot of decisions, right? How they can make because every day business owners make a lot of decisions, and even if they're making an investment, they understand what is the cash in the bank, what is the ROI from each of the investment, what are the investments they made. So they will have a lot of information in their back of mind when they take any decisions. So they'll be more financially disciplined and they make better decisions. Like if they don't have data, they keep looking at some of the restaurants, for example. They keep opening branches and they don't look at their cash flow. At some point, they say, "I'm dead. Done. I don't have enough cash to survive now. I have gratuity to pay. I have suppliers to pay. So a lot of things." And just talking about compliances, right? Any business owner or any finance team just need to be aware about the simple tax compliances if you are running a business in UAE. Just locally, what are the things? Because why I wanted to talk about this is, it's like if you drive a car in UAE and if you don't know the fines, it's huge, it's nasty, right? So the same way, the fines are very huge in UAE. For small mistake, they can fine you 10,000 dirhams. Small mistakes. So it's very important for you to understand what are the tax compliances in UAE. The same way how it operates for the public transportation. If you drive a car and small mistakes, you get like huge fines. You can just go home, right? The same way they do for companies, which is just getting started. So everybody runs a business here should be aware of some of the basic tax compliances, and there are very detailed things to be met, but just basic things. One is VAT, there is a GST or sales tax. In different countries, it's called different, but the basic is like you pay on the revenue on the sales, right? So always be cautious. The moment your revenue or bills purchases reach 187,500,000 dirhams, that is around 6,000 $60,000. The moment you reach there, just be cautious. You have to go and take a VAT registration. And the mandatory threshold is around 375,000. That is around $100,000. The moment it becomes, if you haven't taken a VAT registration within 28 days, the fines are just 10,000 dirhams for a month. So it has to be very careful, VAT registration. And every quarter, you have to file tax returns, right? VAT returns. And then you have to keep all your records because how FTA works, tax authority works, they want to do a random selection, right? Or this company I'm going to audit. You could be big, small, you don't know. And they say I'm going to audit you. If you don't have records, you're screwed. So it has to be very careful. Anything that you do in the business transaction have to have records. You don't know when is your fate comes to select for audit, Right. The second corporate tax, which is very new, which came in UAE, and all companies have to do three things. Right. Some of my friends, founder friends, or finance teams, thinks that it's only if you reach a threshold of profit I have to pay taxes. That's not true. There are basic three compliances every business owner has to do. Every business has to do three things. If you are running a business in UAE. One, you have to take corporate tax registrations. So there is a separate registration for corporate tax. It's mandatory, and every business owner has to get this. And the second, you have to file your tax returns, irrespective whether you are making losses, profits, whatever the thing. You have to say, hey, I run a company here and I made losses, or I made profits. Right? You have to file your tax returns, which is, and again, you have to submit your books of accounts. You have to keep your records, and then audits. Right? Free zone companies have to do audits. It's mandatory. And then again, ESR compliances. This is for certain business activities, especially insurance and all of this. And which is also you have to file tax returns, ESR returns annually. But that's not mandatory for all. But when we check the company, they will send you the notification, hey, file your ESR returns. So this is a basic understanding of how does it work and how you can digitalize this, right? So see, if you use accounting softwares like Xero, Zoho, QuickBooks, you can completely automate your tax returns, VAT returns, right? And see, there is no much options available in the market because we are very early at adopting a digitalization. And at financials, what we are doing, we are automating the tax registrations, tax return filings, VAT registrations, VAT return filing, compliance notifications you get. So we are building a tax stacks around it to completely automate tax filings or tax operations. And you could very much do return tax reports in Zero or QuickBooks. So if you have this, but what you need to do when you set up the accounting system, you have to set up the tax codes. So you need some accountant who understand the tax operations, right? Because there are certain taxes allowed, certain taxes are not allowed, what invoices are allowed, what invoices are not allowed. But you can put the tax codes, right? 5% this is the tax and this is what I'm going to apply. So it automatically generates this report and you can just file it. Why it is very important to automate also, just because anytime tax authority does audit, they will ask you, give me what have you filed for tax return. Give me your general ledgers. Right. If this both doesn't communicate, and most of the people have done audits told me that this doesn't match, there you get fines and all of this. But if your tax reports are automated, then then the general ledger matches with the tax reports. Right. So the both are same. So it's the same thing. So it's easy for any audits, and it will have all audit trials in future if any assessment comes, which is very new in the region, but it's going to come. We can expect that coming years. So this is all about taxes, and I'm just moving into finance operations other than the taxes. So just for understanding, what are the finance operations you do in a company, right? One is basically bookkeeping. You do bookkeeping, and you send invoices to customers. This could be multiple ways, right? You if you are a SaaS business, you have a subscription-based accounting. You have a subscription invoicing. There's a lot of ways to do this. And again, payments. Again, a lot of payments are there, right? You have expenses, and then you make some of the investments. You have subscriptions. So a lot of expenses come into play, like rent, all of this. And then in finance, you do financial reporting, you do data analysis, right? You bring a lot of data, cost center wise, what is the profitability from this, what is the profitability from A, what is the profitability from investment B, what is the profitability from supplier, different customers, different businesses that you have. So go in depth in order to understand. different data to make sense of it. And then you also do a lot of decision making based on the data. And when you make investment, you do some sort of financial modeling, right? You want to put all your cost and just make sense of what revenue are you going to generate from these investments. Again, then if you have a business that is having inventory, then you have inventory, or if you are a service-based business, then it doesn't have inventory. And then you make a lot of capex investment, you buy assets, computers, chairs, all of these things. And then you have payroll to process, right? Payroll again have its own compliances in UAE, which you have to pay leave balances, you have to pay gratuity for the employees. So this again, you again have voluntary insurance, all of these things. Right. And then again, you have expense management. Expense management is more of petty cash, right? You have different teams if you're a startup. You have CTO, you have CMO, marketing teams, you have technology teams. Everybody have their own expenses. They buy their own tools, right? Like you cannot use one card or one tool for all of this. Why? Because if CTO is running the tech stack in Amazon server or AWS or any other tools, then it cannot stop. So you have to have different cards for this. Again, you have to manage the cash flow. This is very important for, especially for startups. You have to always have look at what's the cash flow, what's the cash coming in, what are the outflows, how you can manage it better. So this is basically just an overall understanding of finance operations and how you can put it on autopilot. Right. So you could combine a lot of tools which you could use. For example, Zero, Zoho, QuickBooks, it does have a lot of automation if you are using cloud-based accounting softwares. So you could send invoices from there. You can even send payroll slips for your team members. Everybody gets their payroll calculations on a monthly basis. You can do financial reports. You can design your chart of accounts. Even capex investment, you can put depreciation schedules over there. You can also do file storage, all of these things, and taxes, which I have mentioned. And you can also look at MIS data analysis. You can use Power BI, or we are building our own stack at financials to understand what is the CAC, burn rate, run away, all of these metrics which are specific to startup. We have our own tools that we are doing. And expense management, you can use Pemo, Pluto, or Biobank, all of these cards that basically you can give cards to every team members, and whenever they spend, they get a notification on WhatsApp. For example, hey, you have submitted an expense, just submit the invoices, right? And you can approve it in the same platform. So the whole expense management, make it digitalized, and it's integrated with accounting software. And payroll, again, you can use some WPS management systems like Visa, or a lot of tools are available in the market. And there is like Finflix. What they do, whenever you have employee benefits to pay, you can allocate that into their software, and then you get an interest. So you are managing your cash flow better way. And Stripe, you can put subscriptions management, collections, receivables, invoicing. Again, you can do a lot of things there using Stripe. So, and their revenue operations gets automated. And then you can do inventory, Zoho inventory, or there is another tool also available in the market. And Updoc, any paper documents you have, you can use Updoc. You can just scan it. It goes and sit in the accounting software. Right, and it captures the suppliers, it captures the VAT component. So all of these things gets automated. So there is nothing will be there in a digital format. Even your expense management, and there things gets automated. Yeah, that's all. And we are a tech-enabled accounting service firm. We help companies to manage uh, their finance operations. We give them accountants, tax experts. We help them to put their finance operation on autopilot. We are building our own stacks, which combine all of these tools into one platform. And we give a lot of data on table. to take decisions. Happy to answer if anybody have any questions or anybody asking any questions from YouTube.
If any questions come up online, I'll ask them. Can you just go back a couple of slides because I have a question about this one. This the tech stacks that are on offer. So financials put themselves in. What was the MIS and intelligent recommendations? What did the MIS stand for?
Management information system.
And so you could use that alongside Zoho or Xerox?
Yes. So we connect to this platform, all of these platforms. We give data, and we use AI to give you like insights, where you are weak in terms of financial performance, what can be done better. So all these insights are automated, and we are integrating all of this platform to put it on the backend.
Fantastic.
So your platform is integrated with all of them.
Yes.
And you're providing like the QuickBook is often its own solution. Basically, so what you're doing, you're integrating all of the softwares
Into one platform.
into your platform, and then you're offering
Yes.
solutions.
Yes.
So basically, the customer has to buy one subscription, and you're buying other subscriptions on their behalf, or how does it work?
Yes. So we are buying all the subscriptions on their behalf.
Right.
Yes.
So
And
what about their data security? Because if they're like Stripe, I'm using like we use Stripe, and it's like integrated with one like QuickBooks and WordPress as well for that. But in that we have our own account and we have our own like security for the customer data. So in case if you're offering the solution, then the data would be managed by you as well for that.
yeah, so what we do, like we do implementations. So if you want to set up all the finance, we set up and we hand over to the finance teams. We train and build them how to use it for finance teams. Or if somebody don't have their own finance team, we can run that as well.
Right. But each customer has their
yeah, so they're going to be the owners, subscribers.
they will have their own identity.
Yes.
Based on their own accounts and everything.
Yes, everything they will have the ownership, every tools,
Right.
they own the tools.
Right. And one more question is regarding the taxation. Because I'm not aware about that, how this is work here. Are you integrated with authorities like for filing?
Not yet. We are going there.
Right. For VAT and for other.
Yes, all of these things we will integrate in the future. We are just
Like, is it a possibility to do that?
It's- there is a possibility always, right?
Right.
It takes time to change
Right.
the mindsets, but because globally that's the practice.
Yeah, like IRS is doing the same.
Yeah. So
Is it like the government is offering right now, or they're planning?
I think they're planning to.
They're planning.
They're still speaking.
But you are on the behalf of the customer, you are doing it
Yeah,
manually.
yeah. We are doing it manually in the backend now,
Right.
but from the customer side, everything digitalized. They just
You're
have to.
managing on your data.
Yeah.
Right.
If among those brands, which one in the UAE is the most used?
Also, honestly, I don't endorse any brand.
Yeah, in the
You know,
disclaimer,
just-
yeah.
Whatever the customer, it's depends on the business model, honestly. Right. So if you find this is like, for example, even for Zoho or Zero, it has its own use cases. So prices or features, capabilities, it's all different. So we just look at the business model and we tell them, you can use this. Or somebody got a free Zoho for a year, right? So you take it.
Yeah. Okay.
And there are a lot of platforms, a lot of fintech companies are coming across. We're just putting some examples that we use.
There's a lot of conversation today has been about building the initial foundations, like making the right decisions early on. What about in the situation that a startup company makes a bad decision early? How difficult is it? For what I'm thinking at the moment is, what if a company goes with the wrong type of tech stack or that doesn't suit their business? Is there any support and infrastructure to then transition, or Is that something that you offer, or you know people that offer to transition them into the right space, or
Yes,
using the right technology?
transition every time happens, right? When you are at $1 million, less than $1 million,
Yeah.
the tech stacks you use gonna change when you are from $1 to $20 million,
Yeah.
right? And more $20 to $100 million, again it's gonna change, right? Above 100 million, you're gonna implement something like SAP. So always this transition happens, right? And always like founders or finance team has to make sure that they don't implement something legacy too early, right? Something like Oracle, you cannot implement a company having $1 to $2 million revenue or expenses. So you always have to make sure that you choose the right stack and then you upgrade as you grow. That should be the best way to go for it, right?
QuickBook, for example, would be the good start.
Yeah, QuickBooks Zero has a lot of capabilities.
What about this one, the Pebble or something like that? Is it? This was first time. Is it petty cash or this is
Petty cash, expense management, we could give like cards to our team members.
right? Right.
And every team can have their own expense cards and they can approve it online for
Right.
business owners and also like for receipts, you just upload it in WhatsApp.
Right. Is it integrated with the banks as well, or?
Yeah, it's integrated with banks and it's also integrated with the accounting software. So it
Right.
comes and sit in the accounting software.
Right.
Because I've seen this in tech startups, you have one card everybody sees, right? And then someday the engineer gonna come and say that, hey, our server is stop running because we don't have, enough cash in the bank, pump it. So it's not the best sanity thing to do. You just divide the cards, let everybody run their own, manage their own, expenses or budgets, whatever it is.
So we haven't got any questions online, but what I was thinking is if people have questions specifically for you afterwards, I'll put the details into the chat so that they can easily contact you with any questions.
Yes.
What's the best email address for them to direct them to? Is it this or?
Yeah, Shafiq@financials.com.
Okay.
Jan, awesome. Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much.
Always happy to assist. If anybody have any questions, please write me an email. And good luck.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.